Welcome everyone. I'm really thrilled that you're here. This is a presentation on how Bazi can help you live a healthier, happier life. Obviously, the happier comes when you're healthier. That's why I put healthier first. And for those that don't know me, I'm Jo Darling. I'm an acupuncturist and Chinese medicine practitioner. I'm based in Brighton in the UK. I'm also the founder of Menopause, which is acupuncture-inspired products for menopause. And I'm so passionate about Chinese medicine. It's such an honor for me to be able to share the pearls of wisdom that I've learnt along the way in my training. And just really glad that you're here and you're interested in Bazi, which is how you pronounce it, Bazi rather than Bazi, which a lot of us do when we haven't heard it pronounced before, but it's Bazi. So in the short time that we have together, this is like a whistle-stop tour through what I've just actually created my first Bazi course. So it's in an hour you'll be able to unlock your health potential, at least begin to unlock your health potential using Bazi. So it's a really amazing system of ancient wisdom that not many people know about. In fact, I didn't even really realize I was practicing it. I've been an acupuncturist for over 15 years, and the form of acupuncture that I practice is called stems and branches. And stems and branches is based on your birth date. So there is an astrological component to it. Bazi is based on the similar principles, but we just look at things in a different way. So it's really been a progression for me in terms of my career to understand Bazi and be able to share it with people. And one of my main things that I find, and I really pride myself on as well, is that firstly, I only look at Bazi from a health perspective. There are many ways to review a chart, relationships, all of that kind of stuff, work and so forth. But I only focus on it from a health perspective because I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner, and that's my area of expertise. And the other thing I'm really proud of when it comes to my Bazi readings is I don't just read your chart and say, oh, you're blah, 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 this is blah, blah, blah. I say, you're blah, 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 and that's what this means, and this is how you might be able to help yourself. And you don't always get that with a reading. So I think that's really important to know, that you are as held in the Bazi work that I do with you as you would be if you were in my physical practice. And I consider my patients that come to my physical practice as being in my, or they mostly are in my home, but you know, that's how I want you to feel, that you're held and understood and heard. So as I mentioned, you know, this is part of Chinese astrology, but I use it myself. So I mean, I use acupuncture myself. I'm a great believer in the wisdom of Chinese medicine. So it's one of those things that you know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to say, this is a great system. I use it myself and it really helps me. So as we go through, I'll give you some little nuggets about what I've learned about myself and how that has really helped me. And it's one of the things that's really spurred me on actually to create the course that I've created, and then the full Bazi health reading, if that's what you prefer to do. But one of the simplest nuggets of information I got about myself really transformed how I felt about myself. So I really want, you know, sometimes when you know a lot of stuff, you forget what the simple thing is. And actually, I remember that very first Bazi reading and the woman saying to me, you're a tree. And then as soon as she told me I was a tree, I just, and the other stuff that comes with being a tree, I was like, yeah, that makes total sense to me, that I'm a tree. And you'll find out how that actually manifests for me. But I love a Chinese proverb, as those that follow me will know, and here is the first one, which is if you want, hang on, where's it gone, come on, if you want to find out the road ahead, then ask about it from those coming back. And that's really me in a nutshell, because I love Bazi, I practice Bazi, and I can really tell you what the benefits of it are because I've used it myself, and that's why I'm just so passionate about sharing it with you. Just a couple of things to tell you. We'll go through the courses, etc., in more detail, so you'll see what I can offer you. But I want to give, and I know some of you have been to many of my events before, but I want to make sure you've all got an even equal footing. So as I always do in my presentations, I'm just going to give you a little background on Chinese medicine, and then I'm going to talk to you about metaphysics, then on to Bazi, and then we can get into the real meat of how Bazi can help you. So Chinese medicine, it's really complicated, but actually very, very, very simple. It's one of the oldest and most used medical systems in the world, the basic bottom line of all of it is that everything is made of energy, including the trees, the table I'm sat at, the windows, my house, the bricks, my dog, everything is made of energy. We are all made of energy, and everything is connected. Everything is connected. So there's a oneness to everything. One thing happens and it will affect something else. There's a real Taoist approach to it, which is, if things should flow nice and smoothly, and if they flow smoothly, then this is good health. If they don't flow quite so smoothly, then this is imbalance or dis-ease, as we call it. I don't like to say disease, it's more dis-ease because it's about it being imbalanced. We're also all about correspondences as well. So currently, until tomorrow, which is the first day of summer in the Chinese calendar, we are in spring, and spring resonates very much with the color green, with the element of wood, and wood relates to the liver and the gallbladder in the body, as well as many, many other things, but they're the basics. So each season will have its correspondences, each organ will have its correspondences, and we're working, all these things are going to be woven through Bazi, as you'll see. Lots of different, I say I'm a tree, and to a Bazi practitioner, that's immediately, obvious what that is. Well, it might not be obvious to you and you haven't seen me standing up, but I'm quite a tree-like physique. So, I'm fairly tall, I'm quite robust, I'll never be a skinny thing, and neither should I be, but I'm very, very, very firmly rooted, because a strong tree needs to be rooted, otherwise it falls over. So lots of other things about me that are tree-like, but just in my physical manifestations, you can see that. Chinese medicine is very holistic, so everything is separated. The mind and the body aren't separated, neither are the emotions. In fact, we often say the emotions are the precursor, again, to the word disease, imbalance. And you can see how things like, for instance, let's talk about the liver again. The liver is very much affected by stress. And if you're very stressed, you can become very, tightly bound, and often that can manifest as like tight shoulders, at the top of the body, or headaches. And this is all pain and all things that are related to the liver, which is related to muscles and tendons and pain. So all of those things, just one thing out of kilter so stress affecting the liver, can lead to these other manifestations. Chinese medicine is both preventative and curative in terms of medicine. And so actually one of the most wonderful things about Bazi is it helps you understand yourself better. And so it can kind of work on more of a preventative level, because I think if you understand yourself better, you're able to make better choices, or maybe be more aware of potential issues that you might have. So that will make more sense shortly, I hope, but just bear that in mind about this preventative aspect. It's just about knowing yourself. So health is balance, and you'll see again when we look at the charts, balance is really, really important. And Chinese medicine isn't just about herbs or acupuncture, it's a full breadth of modalities, including massage. I do cupping, which is a very quick flash, it's a massage with a cup, strangely enough. And we also talk a lot about something called yang sheng, or at least I do, which is cultivation of life. Again, the idea that if you live well, you live long. So it's about looking after yourself. And again, Bazi, I need to sort my nose out, don't I? Really fits into that whole cultivating of life. And so it's important from us, from a yang sheng perspective, to use lifestyle and diet and breath work to support ourselves, not just physically, but mentally as well. So let's have a quick look at what metaphysics is. So metaphysics is the kind of broader philosophical word and framework for the whole of sort of Chinese astrology. And at its very heart, it's about energy, as I just said, about Chinese medicine. And this energy we call qi, not cheese, but qi. And the key issue with qi is that it must flow. And you'll see when I look at the chart what I mean by that flow. There's 5 different main types of qi. There's lots of different types of qi actually, but in terms of the elements, there's 5 different types. So when we're looking at your chart, we want to see, have you got a really nice balance of those elements? Because they're all doing different things to each other. And when I talk about Chinese medicine, I often talk about the flow of energy through the elements. So for instance, wood feeds fire, and that's obvious in nature that wood would feed fire. I'm going to show you my chart later, and you'll see that I am woody, because I'm a tree and that relates to wood, but I've also got a lot of fire in my chart. So if you add wood to fire, what do you get? a lot of growth. And that's me all over. I just can't stop growing, but I haven't got enough of, and I haven't got, just a little spoiler, but I haven't got enough metal in my chart, and a form of metal is an axe. So I'm this tree that's really, really growing, but I don't have an axe to keep me in my place type thing. So I'm just going to keep growing, growing, growing. And those of you that know me well, which I know some of you do, will probably attest to the fact that I'm constantly challenging myself, moving forward, and growing. That's the thing that I like to do. The other thing to know about energy is that it's got two opposing forces to it. So it's got these aspects of what you've probably heard of, yin and yang, and they're basically two sides of the same coin. They're male and female, they're hot and cold, they're above and below. They're just this whole, the symbol that you get of yin and yang. It's like these two, black and white, covered together, but also with a little bit of each in them. But I won't go too much into yin and yang, because if you take the course, you learn enough, as much as you need to learn about that. So Batser is essentially when we take your date of birth, including your time of birth, although you can look at your signature energy without your time of birth, but when you're doing a full reading, you need the time. Essentially, you put in your date of birth into a free algorithm that I can give you, and that will create your Batser chart for you. And I'll show you one shortly. And all that's doing is it's a container for the energy of the year that you're born. And we see that as like your DNA or your blueprint. It's the energy that was available to you at that time that you were born. And given that we think everything's energy, that's not too far-fetched for us, that there would be energy at the time you were born. And this energy shows us lots of nuances. So your personality, it can talk about your talents, your potential, your motivations, all this sort of thing. And as I mentioned, I only use Batser for health. So I'm looking at health potential. And that word potential is really important to hold on to, because you have free will. So just because you have potential or propensity doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I'm going to show you shortly why that is. So just be aware of that. And one of the caveats we always give with Batser is that this is for your personal information only. It is most definitely a tool of self-discovery. It's based on the premise that when you know yourself better, you can make better choices and take care of yourself better as well. So I'm just going to show you a Venn diagram. Hopefully it's not too scary, but so this is really what Batser Batser Health can teach you. So let's take a look. See that first circle there, which we're calling your constitution. This is what you gain from your Batser chart. This is going to give you a greater understanding of who you are. So it's very simplest level. It's going to tell you that you're a tree or you're the sun or whatever. On the left-hand side there, you see your environment. Now, this is something that I haven't really made a comment about, because it's something that you can't really change. You can, but it's wider than, say, your home. It's more about the culture you're born into, the availability of the health service that you have access to. And that could be whether it's private or public, NHS or whatever, but depending on the country that you're in, there's going to be a certain environment that you're in that to a larger extent, unless you're making really radical changes, you can't really change. I mean, obviously we have feng shui, which we can tinker our environment, but for the large part, and just bear with me, let's just say your environment is it's there, it's not really, you're not able to change it. But there is, you see this free will aspect, and this is your choices, the right hand side circle there. These are the things that you can change. So what we're saying here is if you know your constitution from your Batser chart, and your environment is overlapped on top of that, then you add your choices in, and this gives you your health. It gives you your health potential. So the important bit, we can't change our DNA, we can't change our Batser chart. That's what happened. We were given that when we were born. So we've agreed we can't really change our environment too much. But we can make better decisions based on information that we have. So understanding ourselves better, that knowledge is power. That's what's going to really, really help us, and that's why Batser is so helpful, so important. So it's going to give us that idea of propensity for certain things and certain behaviours that we may have. I hope that makes sense. I can see sometimes that it's, the Venn diagram is quite complicated, but if you just take away from this that the one thing you can change is yourself, I suppose that's what we always say, isn't it? The one thing you can do is change your choices. And based on the knowledge that you have, your greater knowledge you have of yourself and about that can impact your health. So hopefully that gives you an idea of why we look at Bazi and why we believe it's helpful to support your health. I'm going to give, you've got quite a lot of Chinese proverbs tonight, but here comes another one. This is really, I love this one too, because it really gives us this idea that of what Bazi is really to me. It's solve one problem and you keep 100 others away. So, we talked about Chinese medicine being preventative. It's like, if you can solve one issue, then the rest of the, if you can keep one card upright, it's not going to stack the rest of the cards. Interestingly, I'm also doing a postgraduate diploma in Chinese nutrition, so I give people much more intensive nutritional advice. And actually, we were saying today, if somebody has a problem such as constipation, for example, the first thing you should do is try and sort that constipation out, because actually the body wants to be in balance. And if you can sort out the constipation, the body can be better in balance. It can then deal with the other problems. Anyway, I digress, but that's where it becomes very, very helpful. Now, don't be alarmed at this next chart. This is part of what you get when you enter your birth date into the Bazi chart creator. So really simply, the important parts of this chart are the blue squares. So let's just look across the top there, the dark blue horizontal. These are the 4 things that we ask when we're creating a chart. So that's your hour of birth, day of birth, month and year. And then you can see on the left-hand side there, it says stem and branch. Now, you've also got hidden stems as well, which are important. They're all important, but we'll come to those in a bit. And what we are looking at here is we're looking for the signature energy. Remember, I've said, about health, the first part that you can do on your own, the DIY course that I've put together, is really figuring out the signature energy. And this is the thing that I said to you about me being a tree. So in this chart here, to find the stem, the signature energy, or the day stem, or the day master, whatever we want to call it, we come across from the left on the stem row, and we come down from the day column, and what we find is, I think that says, because I haven't got my glasses on, Bing. I'm pretty sure it does. It's Yang Fire, isn't it? Yeah, Bing. And this is the person's signature energy. So dead simple, actually, when you know what you're looking for. This person is Bing translates to sun. And what I can automatically tell you about somebody who is sun, and I love to find these people, and I wondered if I might be one, but I'm not, is that they are like the sun. So they like to be the only one in the room, because there is only one sun. They like to be seen. That's really important for them. They shine brightly, so they can be quite attractive, and people feel like they need them to live. How simple is that? I mean, this is Chinese medicine for you. Once you know the key, you've got the key to the lock, you can really figure all this stuff out. There's loads more, obviously, I could tell you, but I just wanted you to get a feel and see what a Bazi chart looks like, and then see this, where you find the day master, where you find the signature energy, which is what we'll come on to in a bit. So this is really the most important aspect of the whole chart in many ways. It's how other people see us. So the fact that I know that I'm a tree didn't necessarily mean that when I first heard it, well, I did feel it was very me, but when I've said it to other people, they're like, God, yeah, totally get that you're a tree. And I reckon if you meet a Bing, it'd be fascinating to know how many Bings are on here tonight. When you meet a Bing, you'll know they're a Bing, because they're going to have that kind of presence about them. There's much more to it, much more complicated, but that's like the real simple top line. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. What I really need to show you now, what's really, really important to me, that everyone understands this, is what Bazi health is not. Because I've had a few inquiries recently, and I think it's really important to know that This is definitely not a stick to beat yourself with. It's a tool for self-discovery. So this is your opportunity to get to know yourself better. It's not an opportunity to beat yourself up even more, which a lot of us do. It's not a solution to all your health problems, because remember, we talked about choice and free will. It can't give you the full picture. It doesn't know your environment. It can know your DNA, but it doesn't know your environment. So we can't bring everything in and be completely 100% accurate. And it's definitely not a substitute for conventional medical treatment or recommendations. So if you have medical problems, then you should always seek out your normal healthcare provider. And it's absolutely not a diagnosis for a specific health issue. So whilst I might tell you about propensities, such as, there might be some fire in your stomach, which might mean that you get stomach acid and digestive issues, it's not going to tell you that you definitely are going to get pancreatitis or something, because there's lots of ways to interpret. And there can be many ways to look at this from an emotional, physical, or kind of functional way. So this is definitely what it isn't. It's this wonderful tool of self-discovery, and treated as such, I think it's a really great way of getting to know yourself better. You've got another proverb. Do everything at the right time, and one day will seem like three. This really is saying that if you're doing the right things, you gain time. And actually, this is what Bazi is. It's trying to help you do the right things, doing the right things at the right time, and it expands time almost. But it's a shortcut, I suppose, in a way. It's a way of getting yourself on the right track, I think. So I hope that all makes some sense, the kind of background stuff. What I'm going to show you now are the 3 types of Bazi health readings you can have with me. And as I go through each of those different readings, you're going to get a greater insight into what each thing means. So like what your signature energy means, and what you can gain from that, why it's useful, and what help you can get to support yourself with it. So these are the 3 that I am going to talk about. Well, there's 2 really, because the first one there is Discover Your Signature Energy. It's a do-it-yourself course. So basically, you can download the course, you can do it today, and in under an hour, you have unlocked your signature energy. So you will know if you're a tree or a sun or whatever you are, and you will already have your self-care tips as well. So that's the first one. There's a Discover Your Signature Energy, I'll create your chart for you. For the people that don't really want to do the hours course, I can go through your chart and give you the same information that you would have gained yourself. The only thing you don't really get is, this grounding in Chinese medicine, and I'll talk about the course, but you really get assignments, so you get to sort of interact and get your brain thinking about it, which I always think is a better way to really get under the skin of something. But by all means, if you don't want to do it yourself, I can do it for you, and then we'd have a 15-minute Zoom and I can talk you through my findings. Or there's the full Bazi health reading, which is essentially the detailed analysis of your whole chart. And that's a 45-minute online chat with me where we go through your chart and I explain everything that I find. So let's have a quick look at the do-it-yourself, because I think that's going to take us into a bit more about what else that you can learn from it. So this is, as I mentioned, do it yourself, do it in just over an hour. It's a wonderful introduction to Bazi, and it's a great way to discover yourself. Here's the curriculum, just so you know. It's basically 7 steps. So the first step is just getting you to understand a little bit more about what, where the course is coming from, and what you can hope to gain from the other steps. Each step is going to build on the last one. And then we start to look at Chinese medicine in a little more detail in the next step. Then we go in a little bit more about metaphysics, which we've already talked about. And then in the 4th one, you get to understand your signature energy. I think it's second step, you get to download your chart. So at that point, you can start to look and see, which one am I, a mountain or in the sea, or what am I? And then when we get to the 4th module, 4th step, you're able then to actually start understanding what that really does mean. And on the 5th, you get to know your signature energy. So you really get under the skin of it and you find out all the different nuances about it. And then by the time we get to the 6th step, you're then starting to look at taking care of your signature energy as well. So the little bits and pieces that of self-care that I recommend for you. And then in the 7th step, we just consolidate it all and start looking at what you can gain further from your Batsa. So what you're going to gain on this journey, well, you're going to understand yourself better from a Chinese medical perspective, which is why I thoroughly encourage the DIY, because you'll have gained all the Chinese medical knowledge that you need in order to understand yourself better. It's great that I just did a whistle-stop tour of Chinese medicine for you, but it's really helpful, I think, that you've got the information there in your course and you can refer back to it and go, oh yeah, that's what she meant by that. Because I know how Chinese medicine is. It's sometimes it goes in, but it doesn't stay in. You know, you sleep and it falls out your ear overnight. You'll discover your signature energy, which, You'll discover your signature energy, which is going to enable you to access a much deeper self-knowledge of your health, gain an insight into your health potential, and then find out how best to support yourself using this oldest, ancientest wisdom of Chinese medicine. And then all of this new knowledge, I'll show you on the next page, you get a PDF journal, and so you'll be able to complete that journal. And so you have all the information together about your signature energy, and you'll also have your own personalized Batsa chart, because I'm going to give you the link to the computer generator for that. So here's a couple of pages you can see of the PDF that you get. With this course, you get 7 pre-recorded videos. You can do it in your own time. You can choose to do it one a day if that's how you want to do it. They're no longer, they range between sort of 10 to 15 minutes. They're real bite-sized chunks, and you can record, you can pause it at any point. Then you get access to me direct email if you need me to clarify if you've got any queries about the course. And then, as I mentioned, this journal that you can see here, which is a really important part of the course, because, and you don't get this always with this sort of thing, but it means that you can work through the PDF at the same time as the course, and you're going to get prompts to annotate the key pieces of information. So you'll know, oh, okay, I need to make a note of it. Makes a difference whether I'm yin or yang, for instance. So I'm going to note that I'm yang. And then on the next thing, Joe's going to explain to me why being a yang something is different to being a yin something. So there's little nuances that you might miss if you didn't have your prompts. So you've got your PDF journal. And then, as I say, you've got it there for your future reference if you ever want to refer back to it. And it's interesting because every Chinese New Year, I talk about the forthcoming predictions, and sometimes we use the Batsa charts, and I can tell, give you like little nuggets of, oh, you look out for this or look out for that. And so many people, when I correspond with them, are like, are you managing to pace yourself this year, Joe? Because, you said there's a lot of burnout going on. And then you're like, oh yeah, I forgot that was in the Batsa year ahead thing. So really good to have the PDF, so you've got all that. So here is, oh, that's taken me by surprise. This is, I'm going to talk now a little bit about I hope that was clear, by the way, for the course. As I mentioned, you can have me do it for you if you don't want to do it yourself, but essentially it's exactly the same information. Then you just get, you don't get the course as such, but you get the findings from the course presented to you by me on a Zoom, or I can just send it to you if you prefer, but most people want to chat it through just so that they're clear on what I'm telling them, particularly if they haven't been through all the special layers. I hope you can hear the dog a little bit, but not too much. She's yawning a bit. So let's come on to the full Batsa health reading. So the signature energy, as I mentioned, is the most important aspect of the Batsa chart. And what you get on the course is really top line information. So, you're going to learn whether you're a tree or you're a mountain or you're the sea. And then you're going to learn about the aspects of that. As I was talking to you earlier about me being a tree, being tall and reliable, and probably giving shelter and deep rooted and all these things. There are descriptions of those for each of the 10 different signature energies. But you can also find out what strength your signature energy is. And this is what we do in the full Batsa health reading, because your strength is really important. It shows us what your immunity possibilities are. and how true, and also you can look at how true you are to what kind of tree you are. So essentially, I'm a tree that was born in winter, and so I am a winter tree, which is not many leaves to see, but very, very deep roots, very deep thinking kind of thing. So you'll find out for yourself. I have a friend, I think I might mention it later on, but I have a friend who is a mountain. She's a fire mountain. And so imagine what happens when you add a mountain and a fire together, you get a volcano. And so that's the kind of mountain that she is. But she could be a very boggy mountain, very wet and damp mountain. It could be all sorts of different things, dry, whatever. Should be lots of different climates. So it is quite important to know a little bit more, not important, but if you want to go deeper, it's great to know a little bit more about your signature energy. Let's have a quick look. I was just going to show you, I talked about energy earlier. This is actually my chart, and what you can see here, see this circle at the bottom. These are the 5 different colors of the elements, and one of the things you find out in the full Butser health reading is your balance of elements. Remember, we said at the beginning that it's really important to be balanced. I mean, some people may just have one color in that circle, and obviously that's not a very balanced energy. You can see here in mine that despite me being a tree, which is the green part, I'm actually very, very full of fire. So there's a, as I mentioned earlier, that fire, bless you, thank you, nice kisses. That fire will keep burning through the wood. So that's something I really have to be careful of. And fire is also a really creative thing. So the wood is continually feeding the fire, and the creativity is just completely, always coming. And wood brings with it this ability to, really force things through as well. So I can see a lot of my own personality in this circle that you see here. So this balance of energy. What is great about my energy is that I've got something of everything in there. Not perhaps as much water as I would like, because water is kind of the very essence of life. But hey ho, I think I'm doing all right with the fire, and I like the fire, so that's a good thing. So yeah, what you get in the full health Butser reading is this signature energy plus an understanding of its strengths, and plus all the nuances around it, of which there are many, not just learning about your immunity. So along that line, and so yeah, I mentioned this, the mountain and the fire. So what's interesting about the mountain is it belongs to the earth element, and it's a yang earth element. It's maybe too much for you, but that corresponds to the stomach. And so if we put together the fact that there's lots of fire in her chart, and she also is earthy, the stomach, fire in the stomach means potentially she may have acid reflux. So some of the suggestions for somebody like that are to support them to strengthen their stomach energy, so that if they do have a manifestation of fire in their stomach, they're doing all the right things to keep themselves cool. So that's one of the things that we learn, that the possibility of issues. Remember, I said potential and possibilities rather than this is what you're going to have. And we would support, and the advice you get is along the lines of yang sheng, so that's how you eat, move, sleep, all those kind of things. And what I would probably be recommending for someone with stomach fire is chicken broth, or something which is very yin in nature to cool that fire down. So yeah, that's my chart. So yeah, overall energy and balance. What you're going to see on the next slide is something called our hidden stems, which is our operating system or personality or tendencies. So that's another layer that we add on. And when we know what our tendencies are, that's also interesting. So you get these, there's about 6 different facets. And when you layer them all together, you go, oh, I see why that aspect makes that thing, or presses that button and makes that thing happen. And the other thing that you get along with all of this is your personalized self-care recommendations. So as I mentioned, some yang sheng support, because I don't see the point in you understanding yourself better if you don't know really what to do with it. Here we go. Here's the chart again. I just wanted to mention true energy. So the branches alongside your signature energy, this branch energy is really important. It's not the number one thing, but it's still something that we would look at. So the branch energy is how you actually are versus how you're seen, you know, in your stem, as I said. I'm a rooster. This isn't my chart actually, but I am a rooster in my branch. And that's another set of qualities that I can draw on or review or consider when I'm looking at my Bazi chart. And we look at the imbalances in this true energy. So you're looking at all 4 branches here along the bottom, and that shows us aspects of ourselves that we might need support with, say nourishment or movement, relationships, behaviors, or emotions. These are all part of our making up our health. So you would definitely have some support there for looking at your branches and the imbalances there. And then, as I mentioned, the operating system, which is this line along the bottom, which is, you know, just, I love it. It's just the cherry on the cake in terms of personality, and very revealing if you choose to see. So personalized self-care is the last aspect that you get in a full Bazi health reading. So recommendations to support your elements energy, more in-depth information about your physical, mental and emotional aspects of your energy, looking at diet, moving meditation, acupressure, and simple feng shui recommendations. Truly simple, but you know, they can be very effective. So again, you get a PDF to ensure that you're getting all the information that you need, and the health reading comes with a 45-minute online meeting to discuss the findings, your personal self-care recommendations and your journal, as I mentioned. So it's very comprehensive, the Bazi health reading. You learn an awful lot more about yourself, and maybe try the signature energy course or get me to do it for you, just to see, get a flavour for what you can learn, knowing that there's an awful lot more that we can tap into. I'm just going to sling in another proverb here, because I do love a proverb, as you know. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And yeah, some things can seem daunting, like, you know, looking into your health, understanding yourself better, but the only way you're going to move yourself forward in the journey is by taking that single step. So well done for taking that single step really tonight to understand your Bazi health a little better. And I hope I can persuade you to take a few more steps on that journey to self-discovery using this brilliant ancient tool. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate joining me. If you want to know more, you can find me on my website, menopause.co.uk, and you can email me directly at jo@menopause.co.uk.